Hey guys, Lord here, back in another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the DC Multiverse Connell Kent Superboy from Reign of the Supermen. That said, this of course is brought to us by the fine folks over at McFarlane Toys, and is the second Supermen, quote unquote, character we've received in the life of the DC Multiverse line from said fine folks at McFarlane Toys. And unlike the Hush Batman video I did earlier today, this one should be pretty rant-free. I will tell you, there are no real accessories to speak of, and that freaking blows. I don't know why we didn't get an alternate fist or open hand. That said, he's got the glove cuffs on the wrist balls there, so this would have been a pain in the butt to swap. I'm going to be reviewing the Vampire Robin in about a week's time here, and he has swappable hands, and they got the glove cuff, and let me tell you what, if you don't use a hairdryer, you're going to mess that figure up. So, you know, word to the wise, if they got a glove cuff around the wrist ball, and it's connected to the hand itself, not, you know, the forearm, you're going to have a little trouble popping that off, unless it's super soft and gummy and whatnot. That said, we could have always got an alternate head without the glasses maybe, or a flight stand, or, you know, something. He's a super character. Most of the super characters fly. I don't know about Steel, because that's a guy in a metal suit, but I imagine he's got some kind of jet boots or rocket boots or whatever you want to call it there in his boots. But yeah, I do really like this figure, however, and I think they did a very nice job aesthetically on this guy. So before we take a closer look at him, he does come with a collectible trading card, which my short-nailed arse cannot grab for some reason. There you go. There's the front. Hopefully I can get my reader here to read the bio on the back for us without screwing up like the Batman video earlier. So let's try that out.
Superboy TM, data file, real name Connie I, clone from Kryptonian and human DNA adopted with powerful tactile telekinesis. Superboy possesses abilities similar to that of the Man of Steel TM, faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to limo TAL buildings in a single bound. Connell always strives to live up to the Superman name but constant questions his ability to do so. Of course, having the shared DNA of Lex Luthor TM doesn't make it any easier on the young here, who lives in constant featuring of what sort of influence his human side might hide. 0C, Multiverse.
And there you go. So, long story short, Connell Kent is a clone of Clark Kent, mixed with both Kryptonian and human DNA provided by Lex Luthor, who I actually don't have the New 52 Lex Luthor, which is the closest thing to a classic one we have in this line. So I'm going to need to backtrack and get him. Surprise! I could actually do that because it's not a 2023 release. A McFarlane. Again, I said this in the Mr. Freeze video yesterday, was it? That some of these McFarlane Toys figures lately have been very difficult to obtain, and I'm not 100% sure why that is. It's pretty sad to see this company in the shape it's in. Yeah, they're pumping out a lot of stuff, but I've noticed a bit of a dip in quality, a dip in distribution, and just overall, you know, quantity of figures being made of characters that I would buy if they were easier to get a hold of, man. It freaking sucks and is killing my buzz for this line, but that aside, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here. This is a good figure, and I want to talk about it. So, of course, he comes with a hockey puck display stand we're used to seeing all the time with these McFarlane Toys releases. And look at this figure. He's got a really nice sculpt. He's got nice broad shoulders, but not too broad. He is a kid, after all. I will say, mine's jacket isn't glued on this side. Like, it literally doesn't feel like it was glued, so I'll just have to have Mr. Brian, a.k.a. the old man, a.k.a. my dad, fix that. But a little dab of his Cryonite super glue, that's gonna latch right onto there and hold up nicely. He's got the thigh belt there, kind of like the Nightfall Azrael had. Was this a thing in the 90s? Everyone just having a random belt pouch thing on their hip? Seems kind of impractical. Almost seems like there should be a gun in there. But either way, he's got some laces on his boots there. I will tell you to be careful with these laces. They are separate pieces. They don't stick off a ton. It's not like the infected King Shazam or the Midnighter, or anything like that, where you got to really worry about the pieces breaking off. But I will tell you, better to be safe than sorry. He's got little Danny Ketch spikes on his jacket there. Those look nice. He's got a yellow S on the back of his jacket too. I don't know why Superman can't have the yellow S on the back of his cape. Superboy can have it on the back of his jacket. That's kind of interesting. At least I hope it's there. If not, I look really stupid right now. But yeah, that's about it. He's got the glasses. He's got that classic 90s hair with the kind of Brendan Fraser thing going on. He's got the swooshes on both sides. Looks really good. Really good. So as far as articulation goes, he can look up about that far. Down about that far. He can tilt side to side, rotate around. That's all fine and dandy. His shoulders go out to the side about that far, past 90, and look good when they're posed. Look at that. Blends in with the jacket nicely. They do rotate forward and back. He does have a little bit of a butterfly, but not a ton. And notice, unlike the three Joker figures, his arms can go down to his side. That's pretty impressive. He's got a bicep swivel. He's got a double elbow that works fine. Got a little bit of the Cliffs of Dover going on there. Haven't been doing that lately for some reason. It slipped my mind, I guess, because we just got done reviewing Mythic Legions, which have the exact opposite of that. Oh, pinch my thumb, you little bastard. He's got the ball hinge wrists, and again, you can see he's got a bit of a glove cuff going over that wrist joint. So if you have all ends for this guy that fit, I advise using caution, heating these up, popping them off carefully, and not wrecking that joint, because these joints can sometimes pop apart. Actually, it looks like my elbow could be heated back together there. It's a little warped, if I do say so myself. I think I could maybe straighten that out, but I almost don't even care. He can lean that far forward, that far back. I will say his waist is a little bit loose, but not terrible. He's got some tilt side to side. He's got that diaphragm joint, but again, you're not going to get a ton out of it. It's kind of just whatever. But he does have T-jointed hips, and these are really tight. Like, holy cow. I'm going about that far. He can do the splits pretty well. Kick them back down. They rotate forward. And he's got the best hips on a McFarlane figure, like, ever. Like, I don't know if you can hear that. Those feel heavily ratcheted, and I love that. He has got the best hips in the game right now. His hips are nice and tight. They don't feel loose. They don't wobble around. I will say one of his ankles is a little loose. I think it's this one. But he's got really good thigh articulation, and he's got a thigh cut on top of that. Hip, I meant. He's got double knee. Again, nice and tight for the most part. Till you get to the really deep bend, and then it's kind of whatever, but he's going to bend it that far anyways. I mean, his foot is literally on his R's. And then one thing I'm surprised they didn't do, unlike Mr. Freeze, they did not give him, whatchamacallit joints there. Boot cut. And I'm kind of surprised by that, because he does have boots. And I would have preferred if they gave him a boot cut and then had the hinge be heavily ratcheted down here. Of course, with multiple detents, so you could actually pose him. But he does have the ball hinge ankles, which his aren't bad. They're not the tightest things, but especially that one. That one doesn't even really have the ratchet in it. But he does have the rocker, of course, and the toe joint, which on this side is pretty decent. And on this side, also pretty decent. So, all around, really solid figure. I like him a lot, and he's definitely making up for that Hush Batman we looked at earlier. I don't know, man. This is a cool figure. I like Connell Kent Superboy like this. I don't know if Connell Kent is the same Superboy from like Young Justice and the Titans series from what was that, on TNT originally, but it moved to Max and whatnot. It's a really good show, actually, even though it had some kind of super, like, I don't want to say woke, but modern socio-political viewpoints in it. I mean, whatever, I guess. But yeah, man, really dig this figure. Pin the camera up a little bit here, because we're gonna need to for size comparisons, because he is a little guy comparison to his peers. But with that being said, speaking of his peers, why don't we bust them out and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, and as promised, here is good old Connell Kent Superboy alongside Superman Returns. Not the Chris Reeve version, but the late 90s version. After Doomsday kicked the crap out of him, he died and came back to life. Granted, didn't he have a black and silver suit when he came back? Either way, shout out to a friend of the channel, Evil Villain, for hooking that one up. Either way, I'll have a review going up of him very, very soon, as well as Steel, my favorite of the Reign of the Supermen characters. I don't know, it's just something about a tough guy in a heavy armored suit with a big giant hammer and a cool cape that screams to me, speaks to me, whatever you want to call it, to me, for me. And again, review of him going up very, very soon. But you can see that these two friggin' dwarf little old Connell Kent here, so that's pretty funny. So getting them out of the way here. I'm really happy with that Steel figure, by the way. He's pretty cool. It's a little iffy in the anatomy department, maybe, but I dig it still. Of course, this would not be one of my reviews without the Mythic Legion's Brother Manipulith. And the infamous 11th Spawn, who, as usual, towers over everyone, especially in this case, which is not a common thing with DC Multiverse figures, at least not on this channel, because, you know, Spawn is 7-inch scale, technically. As long as it's not oversized Batman's, he's usually the same height, if not taller than most DC Multiverse figures. That said, since we had the Superman out, for kicks and giggles, here is also Crypto the Super Dog, or should I say Crypto the Super Dog. But there you go, man. So with that being said, time to wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, and aside from a sheer lack of any real accessories, and yes, I do not count the hockey puck display stand or the collectible trading card as actual accessories, I'm of course talking about alternate hands, alternate heads, effects, stuff like that. Although, given the fact that good old Connell Kent here has the kind of gloved hands where the glove cuff kind of goes over the ball hinge wrist joint there, it's probably best that he didn't have swappable hands, although a hairdryer can do many things, and swap hands like that is one of the things it can do. That said, that is a pain in the butt, and some people don't want to deal with that, so that's understandable. But a head without the glasses would have been nice, or some kind of effect piece, or even, you know, a flight stand, because he is a super character. Last I checked, the other Reign of the Supermen character who was released at this time, the Eradicator, did not come with a flight stand either, and neither does the recently released Steel, who, as I said before, we'll be taking a look at very, very soon. So, that said, however, I do really like this figure. I think they did a bang-up job on this version of Connell Kent. It may not be the 90s tried and true look for the character, but I don't mind the updates. I think the updates are fine. I like this figure way more than the Eradicator. The Eradicator was cool, but I didn't care for the black face and the weird cape sculpt and some of the anatomical choices. This guy, his only real drawback, other than the accessories that is the fact that you can't really put the legs together too well. You can do it, if you fiddle with it, but other than that, really solid figure, and I'm very happy to have it as a part of my DC Multiverse collection. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.